When are your kids ready to handle their inheritance? Hello, I am Don Rolfe, the owner and founder of Northwest Legal Planning, and your host for this 30-second episode of Estate Planning Weekly. And today we're talking about when your children are ready to handle their inheritance, to deal with the money that you may be leaving behind for them. And it's a question that I get all of the time from my clients and potential clients. They want to know, when's the best time for someone to inherit their money? And I wish that I had the perfect answer for everybody, but you know better than I do. I can help people, guide them through some protections that we can set up and those sorts of things, but you know your kids better than anyone and whether or not they're ready to handle that money. By the way, if you have questions about this or any other estate planning topic, do feel free to reach out to me. You can set up a complimentary consultation with me by going to myestateplanmeeting.com, and we can talk on the phone or in person for a half hour. We can talk about answering your questions and what your options are for estate planning. But I want to give you three things to think about when you're thinking about when your kids are going to be ready for their inheritance. So the number one thing I've already mentioned is that you know your kids the best. And if you have more than one child, you know that you may have one child that's ready to inherit $1 billion tomorrow and handle it very well, and then you have another child that's not ready to inherit that same amount of money, and it could be actually a problem for them in their life. So the number one thing to remember is that you know your kids the best, and if you have more than one child, you do not have to leave the money to them or their inheritance to them in the same way. You could have one child that you've appointed a third-party trustee to always manage their money for them, and another child that is going to be managing it by themselves, and you may leave it to them outright. The second thing to think about is that you can give them an out. So let's say that you have that second child that's great at managing money, you have no problem with them having it, you don't think they're going to waste it, it's not going to turn their life into a downward spiral. But you never know what's going to happen in the future. And we can set up an estate plan for you that leaves the inheritance to your children in a trust that they can manage, they can be in control of, but as long as they leave it there, if something were bad to happen in the future, they got divorced, they got sued, something, they would be able to step aside, appoint a separate independent trustee to manage the trust to protect that inheritance. So it's giving them an out in the future just in case something were to come up. And I want to take a break here and just take an aside. If you do not have an estate plan right now and you have children, if they're minors, whatever you leave to them by the intestacy statutes, they are going to inherit something if you pass away before they're 18. It's going to have to be given to them, and a conservator and a guardian are going to have to be appointed. The conservator will manage their money until they're 18. But once they turn 18, or if they're already 18 when you pass away, if you do not have an estate plan, they're going to get everything that you're leaving them outright. That means it won't be protected from trust. No one else will be managing it for them. When they turn 18, they're going to get that inheritance. And I have seen it happen, and I have heard countless stories about it, that getting a large sum of money at 18, which, us as adults may not think that getting, $50,000 or $100,000 is going to change our lives all that dramatically. But for an 18-year-old, $50,000 or $100,000 seems like it's a never-ending supply of cash. And I have seen it and heard, like I said, countless stories of it really turning an 18-year-old's life or a 20-year-old's life upside down to get an influx of cash like that, and them really not knowing how to handle it. So if you have children and you have no estate plan, you could be setting your children up for failure and setting them back in their lives by leaving them a large lump sum outright, if you were to pass away prematurely. Getting back to the topic, the third thing I want to remind people is they need to plan for right now. You need to plan for right now. So if you have, 3-year-old children, 10-year-old children, you need to plan for them right now as if you're going to pass away tomorrow. You can always update your estate plan in the future as things change. So, as children hit milestones, as you hit milestones in your life, whether that's because you acquired new assets, you've retired, or the laws change, you're going to want to update your estate plan anyway. It's not a set it and forget it type situation. So plan for right now and the near future, and then if things change your estate plan for new plans. If you have a child right now who's in their mid-30s and you think they're doing great, and we plan for them to be their own trustee and manage their own funds and all of those sorts of things, and then something happens. There's an addiction problem that comes up, or there's trouble with the law or lawsuits. We can always revise the estate plan to take care of those things and to make sure we're not setting that child up for disastrous things to happen when they do get their inheritance. Again, if you have questions about this or any other estate planning topic, do feel free to reach out to me and schedule that complimentary strategy session. You can do so by going to myestateplanmeeting.com, and you can meet with me for a half hour, absolutely gratis, either on the phone or in person. I prefer in person just because I like meeting and talking to people. And if we do meet in person, I'll probably go over a half hour just because I might be a little long-winded and more interested in getting to know about you. And anyway, so again, you know your children the best. I don't have all of the answers for you, but I will do my best to guide you. Make sure that you understand that you need to set your children up with an out. So if something were to come up in the future that is harmful for them and the inheritance is going to be a problem, give them an out. And usually we do that by setting up their inheritance in a trust and allowing them to step aside as trustee and appoint somebody else to protect that inheritance. And then finally, plan for right now or the very near future, because we don't know when you're going to pass away, and we don't know what the future is going to look like for your kids. So plan for right now, and as things evolve and change, your estate plan can be updated and to change with the times and the circumstances that your family may have between now and in the future. Again, my name is Don Rolfe, and until next time, take care. Goodbye.